All right, today we're putting your biology knowledge to the test. Think of it as a little rapid-fire challenge, all about the building blocks of life. Let's see how you do.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes, and we've got some pretty fundamental questions lined up for you. You ready? Let's dive in. Our first challenge is all about the blueprint for, well, every living thing. You guessed it. We're starting with DNA. I mean, it's basically the instruction manual for life, right? But what's wild is that it's built from these really simple repeating units. So the big question is, what exactly are those units made of? So that fundamental building block of DNA, it's called a nucleotide. And the question is, can you name its 3 essential parts? Take a second, think it over. Okay, let's see if you nailed it. And the correct answer is C, a nitrogenous base, a deoxyribose sugar, and a phosphate group. If you got that one right, awesome job, but what do those 3 parts actually do? Okay, so here's the deal. These 3 parts are like a little team. They all link together to form a chain. The sugar and the phosphate, they create the backbone. Think of them as the sides of the famous DNA ladder. And that base, that's the rung that points inwards, just waiting to connect with a partner. And speaking of connecting with a partner, that leads us perfectly to our next question about those rungs. See, the bases have really strict pairing rules. They're picky. Only certain ones can connect. So do you know which base always pairs up with cytosine? You got it. The correct answer is cytosine with guanine. C always pairs with G. This isn't some random thing either. It's one of the most fundamental rules in all of biology. It's that important. And here's the full rule laid out for you. Super simple, right? C always pairs with G, and A always pairs with D. That's it. It's so elegant. Okay, so we've looked at the blueprint molecule itself. Now let's zoom out a bit. Let's look at the raw materials, the actual elements that build this stuff. So yeah, we've cracked the DNA code, but what about the raw materials? I mean, if you could break down any living thing, including yourself, into its most basic elements, which ones would you find the most of? Any guesses? Think about it for a second. We always hear that we're carbon-based life forms, right? But does that mean carbon is the most abundant element in our bodies? What do you think are the top 3 elements that make up, well, pretty much everything from the water in our cells to our DNA? And the answer is oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. But check out this breakdown because this is what's really fascinating. By mass, we are a whopping 65% oxygen. Most of that is just from the water in our bodies. Then comes carbon, and hydrogen is a close third. Just think about that. 3 elements make up 93% of who we are. That is incredible. Okay, so we've got our elements. Now, let's see how they get together to form the giant molecules, the macromolecules that do all the heavy lifting in our bodies. And for this next part, we're going to play a little game of spot the lie. The rules are simple. I'm going to show you 4 statements. 3 of them are totally true, but one of them has a pretty big mistake in it. Your job is to find the fake. Let's start with statement A. Okay, statement A. Fatty acids are a type of lipid. True or false? That one is absolutely true. Lipids are just fats and oils, and fatty acids are their main building blocks. So far, so good. All right, what about B? Glucose is a monosaccharide. You bet that's true. Just break down the word. Mono means one, saccharide means sugar. Glucose is our classic, super important single sugar unit. Okay, let's jump to D. Amino acids each have a side group. Yep, that's also true. This little side group, the R group, is what makes each of the 20 amino acids totally unique. So if A, B, and D are all true, that can only mean one thing. Our lie has to be statement C. It claims a triglyceride is made of 3 glycerols and 1 fatty acid. And that is wrong. The numbers are totally backwards. And here's exactly why it's wrong. The name itself gives you a huge clue. Triglyceride. That tri refers to the 3 fatty acid tails. Those 3 tails are all attached to a single glycerol backbone. So it's a simple flip, but in chemistry, a simple flip can make a totally different molecule. All right, for our final question, put on your lab coat because we're heading into the lab. We're going to look at a really classic experiment that's used to identify one of the key food groups we've been talking about. Okay, take a look at this setup. We've got a scientist adding some solution to a test tube, and then they're going to heat it up in a water bath. What in the world are they testing for? Let's walk through the procedure step by step. So, the key steps are pretty clear. You add a specific chemical, in this case it's called Benedict's solution, and then you apply some heat. And what you're really looking for, the whole point of this, is to see if the solution changes color. A color change means, boom, a chemical reaction happened. So, what's the final answer? This whole procedure is the classic Benedict's test, and it's used to find simple sugars, what scientists call reducing sugars, like glucose. Why reducing? It's just a fancy way of saying they can donate electrons to the Benedict solution. If sugar's there, that blue liquid will turn green or yellow or even a deep brick red. Okay, let's do a super quick recap of our 5-minute challenge. We saw that DNA has a simple, unbreakable code. We learned that life is mostly built from just 3 main elements. We spotted how important precise structures are for molecules. And we saw how a simple lab test can literally reveal the invisible molecules in our food.
And all of that leaves us with one final big thought. When you think about it, from simple base pairs to just a handful of elements, the fundamental building blocks of life are actually pretty basic. So the real question is, how does this incredibly simple toolkit combine to create the absolutely breathtaking complexity we see all around us? Now that is something to chew on. Thanks for joining me.